Hello and welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Mike Wilson. Today we'll discuss a range of topics from the 2019 Indiana legislative session. And joining me right now is Representative Mara Candelaria Reardon, and thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you represent the Munster community, but there's actually some very interesting caucus news for you. So within the House Democrats, we're seeing an interesting change, right? That's,
we are.
It's not on the horizon either. It's right here.
Absolutely. We have the most diverse caucus that we've ever had. We have two Latinos, myself and Earl Harris, in leadership positions. I'm the minority caucus chair, and Earl is the assistant whip. And we also have a majority of women in our caucus for the first time in the history of the Indiana General Assembly.
So with that, do you think that changes the dynamic or the scope of the Indiana legislature and the frame of the discussions that take place?
I think whenever you have variant voices at the table, I think you have a better discussion, and certainly better leadership and better representation for the communities that we represent.
Well, and it's supposed to be such a direct representation of the populace, and so to have that level of diversity, I would think, would actually give you sort of a truer representation of Indiana, right?
I agree. It's really important, like I said, that all voices are represented, and we don't just represent the people that elect us. We represent everybody on the day that we're elected that lives in our district.
Right. So I guess with that in mind, as you take a look at this legislative session, what do you want to see reflected in that? What do you think will be?
Well, I think when you talk about bias crimes, I think that that's a really important discussion that we need to have. It's been ongoing. I applaud Representative Porter, who's been carrying this legislation for over 20 years, and finally has gotten through the Senate, and we're waiting for the House to take action.
So when you have the bias crimes bill, the language becomes the most, I think, important but sometimes challenging part about it. And we've seen some changes throughout the process as well. What do you do to get that language to be as meaningful as possible as this bill works its way through?
I think that you try to include as many categories that mirror the federal legislative protections at the state level. I think that that's really the place to start, is what's working and what we have going on the federal level. And those protected classes need to be protected at the state level as well.
So do you not buy the argument then that once you start naming that you then exclude different groups because you've got a list of these biases or these groups that would then be protected?
I don't think so. I think that that's an excuse for just a blanket, you know, very vague statute that will or won't be enforced. I think you really have to list who we're trying to protect.
And as you look at Indiana and where we sit in the federal scope on this discussion right now, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, Indiana is not been certainly the leader on a lot of issues. We're always the last. We're one of 5 states that doesn't have these protections in place, and I think that we have a real opportunity to step up here, and I hope that we take advantage of that.
And are there other states, are there 45 other states that have had issues because they have named protected groups?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No, in fact, it's the reverse. The ones that don't have some protections listed it's at the discretion of the prosecutor or charging agent to, and you see the statute not being used, really.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll look ahead to that. Anything else that you're working on before we wrap up here?
Well, teacher pay is really important. The governor has said that this is a priority to him. The speakers noted on Organization Day it was a priority to them. Yet we have seen no bills that actually fund teacher pay. So it's really something to watch, and hopefully that, you know, they meant what they said. I don't think this is an issue that we need to study any longer. We know that we're losing teachers. You know, I met with some teachers last weekend, and one of them was leaving the profession because she could make more money as a manager at Starbucks. That's sad to me. We talk all the time about investing in our future. There's no greater investment than in the kids of our state.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us at the Indiana State House. This is Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Mike Wilson. Thanks for watching.